Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from Sauce on Delay. You know, the news. Anyway, I can't absolve myself of wrongdoing, right? I'm gonna engage in some wrongdoing that I'm very proud of it, and there's no excuse for it, right? I'm gonna use one of the headlines in order to bring visibility to this episode. And it's all marketing, but it's not really marketing, because I'm going to use the story to kind of explain something that I'm thinking about. Sleep deprivation can, and these are just things from my understanding. I'm not looking at the scientific data. I didn't look it up before I came on. I'm just going based on memory like I normally do, right? Sleep deprivation is on the level of how it depletes your body of being drunk. I've had probably 2 or 3 car accidents falling asleep just from sleep deprivation and lack of nutrition. Not eating properly, eating a lot of sugary stuff. Sugar makes you crash, all that. So as a result, my body couldn't really keep up late at night, and I just check out, or even in the daytime, because I used to work out in Long Island. I used to have a long commute, fortunately, and I was driving a manual car, so the distance wasn't that far from home. I only had to maybe travel, I don't know, maybe 25 miles. But coming home, there was so much traffic. I'm there shifting gears. I would start falling asleep. Fortunately, I was driving a manual car, so if I fall asleep, the car's in neutral. The car's not going anywhere. Later on, I had automatic vehicles. So there's times when I would fall asleep and the car started drifting. Fortunately, I wake up. Or one time I slightly bumped a guy's car. He called the ambulance, everything. The ambulance, put him in the ambulance, took him back out. I didn't even have to exchange any information or anything like that. Thank God it all worked out. I don't know what he said to those people or what the people in the ambulance said to him, but that whole situation didn't evolve to anything else, fortunately, right? And that was due to me working all night. I think I did like a double shift, and I'm the driver for the team, because we work as a team and we travel to different places. So I'm driving them there, I'm working with them, I'm driving them back, I'm picking up the next crew, I'm driving them there, I'm driving back. Now it's the next day in the morning, and I'm super tired. Bumped the guy's car, yeah. And then on Jamaica Avenue, I bumped another guy's car, and he didn't even come out because he had the same size van as I was driving. I was driving a passenger van, so I had a passenger van full of like 14 seats, 14 people, including myself. And yeah, So anyhow, saying that sleep deprivation can cause you to lose performance, right? I'm driving, they dug up the road because it's an election year. They usually repave the road for whatever reason. There's so many other issues that need to be addressed. Anyhow, thanks. Anyway, this road wasn't that bad, but whatever. I'm not complaining. Prisoners, right? They found out if they feed prisoners better food, they're less violent. B12, right? B12 is known as a supplement that helps some mental conditions. PMS and PMDD. These are both hormone imbalances that cause psychological behavioral changes, aggression, irritability in women during, I think it's the luteal phase, or during menstruation. Makes them irritable. Cases of PMDD are responsible for a lot of breakups, right? Because of the aggression that is triggered by that. Now, we just heard about the lady named Lindsey, I don't remember what her last name is, who killed her 3 children, who was suffering from PPD, postpartum depression. I've spoken about postpartum depression before. Postpartum depression can cause suicidal ideation now. Now, I don't know if there's a nutritional component of postpartum depression, but from the Lindsey case, apparently she was under a variety of psychotropic medications that they were trying to give her in order to make her feel normal again. But you know, the psychiatric industry, the medical industry is profit-based, and they're limited in their tool set because they're only approved to use whatever, you know, the drug companies and the insurance companies advocate for it to be approved, or pay for the research to be approved, and what goes into the books. They can only use what's in the book. The insurance can only allow them to use what's in the book for the most part. And their the training and the culture of it is also a little bit stubborn, and the culture of it is also, you know, listen, they have a job to do, they gotta make a living, they gotta take care of their families, right? The insurance says you can't do whatever you want to do, right? Because if they go outside of what they're supposed to do according to the books and according to what is approved, not only won't get paid, but they're not protected anymore, just in case someone wants to sue them. And you know, the medical industry is like any service industry. Some people are going to be happy, some people are going to be unhappy with your service, even if you did a great job. If you did a terrible job, if you robbed them, if whatever the case may be, there's going to be times when you're going to have customers that are not happy, right? So you have to keep that insurance. Whether you're doing a good job or you're doing a bad job, you got to have the insurance, right? That's what the insurance is there for. So you don't want to go outside of what your insurance coverage does. So your hands are kind of tied. Your hands might even be tied by the medical facility that you work for, the medical network that you work for, you know. Your hands also might be tied by your lack of education, because they don't teach you nutrition and the benefits of B12 and the benefits of iron, right? The benefits of magnesium. People are using magnesium for anxiety. People are using B12 for anxiety. People are using, ashwagandha, herbs, spices, things of that nature for their different mental conditions, right? Now, talking about Shondra Massey, which is what I'm going to use as to title this episode. Talking about Shondra Massey, right? Now, what happened to Shondra Massey was not justified. Now, there's people online saying that she was about to throw the pot of water on the man. I'm not going to get into that, because there's a lot of hateful people that are filled with parasites. They're sick, they're nutrient deficient, they're sleep deprived, and they have bad ideas being spoken into them, curses on them, and they, you know, I don't want their attention necessarily, right? So, in one of the videos online, there's a video of a police body cam video of the day before she was killed, when the police made basically a wellness visit or a wellness check, or you know, on her at, it's not really a wellness check, but they came to her house the day before, They came to our house the day before because her relatives, which I think is like either her aunt or her grandmother or whoever she was living with, her relatives called the police, not stating that she had done anything to them or hit them or anything like that. That's not what they stated. But they wanted the police to take her to a psychiatric hospital, right? She had just, I think, not long ago been released from a psychiatric hospital. They wanted her to take her to a psychiatric hospital. But the police could not take her to a psychiatric hospital because she didn't hurt anyone. For one thing, she didn't commit any crime. And she was not willing to go to the psychiatric hospital. She spoke to them very eloquently and, sensibly for the most part. She was crying and stuff like that. But she did not want to go. Well, I mean, there's a part where she says, I don't know what to do. I need help, but they won't give me help. I don't know what to do. So, but they have to go by the book as well. They can't say, well, if you don't know what to do, let's take you to the psychiatric. They can't do that. They can't make her go there. She didn't do anything wrong. She's just being annoying and being disturbing them, and I don't know exactly what she was doing. But this is my assumption. Here. I assume that she was up all night, walking around, making noise, because the time when she was killed was about 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. She was making tea, so that means that she's up all night. She's just up all night, just, you know what I mean, banging pots around, maybe walking around. She thought the day that she called the police, she thought somebody was walking around outside her house. She called that time. The day before her family called, the next day she called, saying that she thought somebody was walking outside of her house, right? And those are manifestations of her mental state, right? I guess, unfortunately, they didn't have records, or nobody notified them that the lady that you're going to be encountering is of unsound mind. And, this may be just like one of those people that likes to call the police a lot. There was a lady, I saw a video on Instagram, I don't know if it's true or not, a lady who is a veteran, she's still alive, hopefully. A lady who is a veteran, and she lives alone. She's in a wheelchair, she's debilitated, she has no home care. And what she does is ultimately she keeps calling the police, the police department, to come and help her move her chair, move her out of here and do stuff for her, because she doesn't have any a home attendant to take care of her. So eventually, for some reason, she got arrested for making too many frivolous phone calls. You know what I mean? Too many frivolous police phone calls, tying up the system, all of that stuff like that. Now, maybe I don't think she needs to be arrested, but that shows that they had a record of, the fact that she was calling a lot and she put in a lot of calls. And, anyhow, I'm wondering, anyway, hindsight is 2020. It would have been good if information was shared that the lady that you're going to be visiting is bipolar or schizophrenic, and she's just calling all the time saying that, whatever. But I think there was only about 3 calls that were, like 2 calls happened before the call that ended her life. So, I feel like she was sleep deprived. I feel like she had, maybe nutrition could have helped her. I guess if she was boiling water, I'm assuming she was drinking some tea. She's spent some time living in California, so she might be a little bit of a hippie. I hope California people don't get offended by that. I'm doing interviews with California people, and I say that to them all the time. I consider myself a hippie also. I consider myself, anybody who's into holistic stuff is a hippie. I think so. I don't take it as a bad word, but if you take it as a bad word, I'm sorry. I'm just riffing. I'm just joking. Hey, I'm gonna put some petroleum distillate in my vehicle, so you can just stand by for me, please. Hey, so I'm back. Okay, so what was I saying? So I was saying Shondra Massey, you know, she had some she had some mental issues herself. Just to put things in some form of context, in a sense, but none of her psychological issues were associated with any violence. But I think that she was staying up late, from what I can determine. You know, she was struggling, and the evil spirits that, when I say evil spirits, it's a lot of different things, man. Evil spirits, like I was talking about one time, I was talking about, you know, like being around the wrong people, you know, brings down curses on you. You know, being around the wrong people can you know, make bad things happen to you. So it's very important to stay away from bad people, people who are doing the wrong thing. You know? Yeah, around people doing the wrong thing. So, because, you know, their vibration, the words that they say, the food that they eat, the spit flying out their mouth, their saliva, their bacteria, you know, those things can modify you. You know, since my little digging into oral care, since my cavity was, you know, I discovered this cavity, this crazy cavity that I got. I'm finding out that, you know, kissing people can share their oral bacteria that could become a part of your oral biome, which could become part of your gut biome, you know. But it becoming part of your oral biome can cause you to have cavities too. So don't kiss the wrong people. You know what I mean? We already know that having sex spreads diseases. So isn't that disease like a curse? Right? People talk about soul ties, and people talk about stuff like that. And even I was looking at something that a dentist was saying, that, you know, family members can, you know, they exhibit some of the same, or carry some of the same bacteria, you know, from birth. So that's a generational curse right there. So I guess it's on us as individuals to remove all impurities from ourselves in order to prevent the conduction of that kind of energy. Now, that's, you know, that can go very far, right? That could go to the point where you're saying, oh, you're going to isolate yourself and isolate your family from certain environments. But isn't that how people do things? Like, they say, okay, we in my family we don't eat this, or my family we don't do that. Like, one of my bosses, his daughter came to work as an intern, and she was telling someone, oh, my father never let us eat Wendy's. She said she's never eaten Wendy's. My father never let us eat Wendy's. You know what I'm saying? That's his household. He runs it a certain kind of way. You know, it's not like he said, oh, we don't eat pork, or we don't eat beef, or whatever. He said, we don't eat Wendy's. Don't eat at that place. You know? So, everybody has their own thing. Let's even talk about the pork. The porks have parasites in them that we know of. Pigs have 90% human DNA. My son asked me the other day, what is salmonella? My son asked me, what is salmonella? And I said, I don't really know, son. It's a bacteria. You know? So we looked it up. Salmonella can be found in lizards, birds. This can be found on the surface, on bird skin, on lizard skin. It can be found inside of, it mainly enters your body when the food that you eat comes in contact. Your food has been contaminated by feces that contain salmonella. You eat it, it goes into your gut, and in the advanced cases, it can penetrate your gut lining, get into your bloodstream, your lungs, and all over your body. right? And that's possibly how it gets into the pigs, because the pigs eat feed. Well, pigs don't have, I don't know, pigs might have salmonella, but that's probably how pigs get sick, because they eat anything. They'll eat anything. They'll eat feces, and if there's contaminants or parasites in the feces, they're going to eat it. They have 90% of our DNA, so they have a similar system going on with them. Matter of fact, I heard that the cannibals in Papua New Guinea call human beings long pig. That must mean that, human flesh tastes like pork, but please don't. Please do not. Do not. Okay? Anyway, going back, none of this stuff is really a laughing matter. So, talking about Lindsey, the lady that killed her 3 kids. Lindsey Casey, I think her name is. Lindsey Casey or something like that. Or I'm mixing up her with another lady that did that. But a lot of those cases have been associated with postpartum depression. Now, they have a guy named the Gilgo Beach killer who killed multiple women out in Long Island. His name is Rex Huberman. I think he just pleaded guilty in order to reduce his sentence, or whatever the case may be. I don't think his time is going to be reduced, but I don't know. I think he pled guilty or something like that. And Rex Huberman, the way how they found Rex Huberman, from my limited understanding, one of the pieces of evidence that they found his DNA on is a piece of pizza. An uneaten pizza in a garbage can. They found his DNA on it. And that's what allowed them to track him down and find him. So, Rex Huberman, you look at him, he's been in prison some time now. It seems like he's a little bit more svelte, like he lost some weight. But he's still a big man. He's still a pretty big man. He's big. He's like probably over 6. He's like 6'3", maybe 350 pounds. He's a big guy. So Rex Huberman has bad ideas, bad thoughts, bad ruminations, saying bad things to himself, saying, you know what I mean, thinking bad things, eating pizza, pizza, high glycemic index, simple carbohydrates feed bacteria. The milk causes inflammation. The only good thing in it is the tomatoes, which provide vitamin C and some form of citric acid, which, might be, those might be good things. But everything else is bad. The simple carbohydrates in the dough, and the cheese that causes inflammation, and the cheese cultures also have some form of bacteria in them also. So I'm just, my whole point of even talking about this, and like I said with the prisoners, you feed the prisoners better food with more B vitamins, they're better behaved. Oh, the next thing, and they talk about food deserts in inner city locations, right? The inner city is known for crime. The inner city is known for dysfunction. The inner city is known for domestic violence. The inner city is known for drug use. The inner city is known for just about everything bad about the worst of human social interaction, right? And the inner city is also known as a food desert, where you can't, because that's a stretch, but since people don't really understand how important proper nutrition is, it's not really high on their level of priorities. They just want something to eat, and they'll eat anything, they'll go to the store, get a hero with a bologna sandwich, or a ham sandwich, or whatever you want to call it. Everything in the corner store, everything in the deli, right? Mostly delis, right? Especially, I'm using New York as an example. I'm not sure what the other inner cities look like. They have their own culture, but in New York, at least, the deli, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna get you a ham sandwich, you're gonna get a turkey sandwich, maybe somebody's eating a bologna sandwich, you're going to get, one of those things that's full of nitrates and preservatives, which, promote colon cancer. They're linked with colon cancer. Processed meat is associated with colon cancer. So let's go back to Shondra Massey, the offender side now. The guy named Greyson, the police officer, former police officer, about 4 months after being convicted, got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. From my limited understanding, he got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Now, what did I just say? Colon cancer is associated with preservatives. He's a police officer. He's working all night, so he's sleep deprived. And he's probably, where was this? This was somewhere outside of Chicago area. I don't know exactly where it was. It's not Chicago. It's Illinois, right? It's Illinois. Somewhere in Illinois. Not in Chicago. It's in Illinois, okay? Somewhere. And I don't know what he was eating. He's only 32 years old by the time that he died. He just died, right? That's why Shondra Massey is in the news again, because he just passed away from stage 4 cancer that spread from his colon to his lungs, to his rectum, to other parts of his body, all over his body. And he was attempting to get a medical release from prison for having cancer. Now, oh man, that really tugs at my heartstrings. Now I know what he did was, terrible, horrible, abhorrent, but with the level of cancer that he had, he didn't have any time to really live, and I don't know if he had any family, but he took Shondra Massey from her family, and honestly, her family was having a hard time with her, but they didn't want to, they didn't want that. I think she has a child also, they didn't want that. Yeah, she has some children. She didn't get to end spending time with her children. She didn't hurt anybody. She was just annoying and bothersome to them because she was dealing with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She needed to be institutionalized in order to subdue those spirits. I'm going to call it spirits, man. I'm just calling it spirits. But we know that it's not spirits. We know that it's bad ideas. We know that it's parasites. We know that it's hormone imbalance. We know that it's chemical imbalance. We know that it's bacteria. We know that it's inflammation. A combination of all of these things. We know that it's social constructs also, it's a multitude of factors, but since it's so complicated and it's too much to really get into, we'll just call it spirits, right? So the spirits were on her, right? And the guy, if he got convicted, let's say 4 months after, if he was diagnosed with cancer 4 months after his conviction, that means that at the time of conviction he already had cancer, but it just hadn't multiplied that much by that time, right? So if he was fired a year before that and his court case started a year before that, he possibly was in the early stages of cancer, but at 30 years old, he's not thinking, oh, I need to go get a colonoscopy, I need to go take a PSA, I need to go, you know what I'm saying? He might not feel too good, whatever the case may be. He's still eating whatever he's eating, hot dogs, bacon, drinking a whole bunch of sugary drinks, drinking Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and whatever else is feeding those bacteria, feeding the cancer. Oh, let me go back a little bit. I have an episode called CRISPR Chimera. Why did I give it such a silly name? Anyhow, in gene editing, in genetic editing, in cloning, the way how the DNA is modified is using bacteria, regular bacteria, including I forgot which bacteria it is, but it's regular occurring bacteria like E. coli. I think E. coli is one of the bacteria that is used to deliver the DNA into the DNA that you want to put it into. Like, you know, yeah. So that shows you that bacteria can be used to modify your DNA. And what is a cancer? A cancer is when your DNA mutates and start to replicate. And then your body attacks it and creates a mass, but at the same time it's growing because it has a way to it has a way to replicate itself, because it already has the genetic code in the cell, and that cell is multiplying, and the more you give it sugar, the more it multiplies, the more your body sends inflammatory cytokines to it. I might not be using the right words, but that's how I understand it. Your body sends inflammatory cytokines towards it. That multiplies it. It keeps growing into a larger and larger tumor. And in some cases, people in the woo-woo hippie community that I like to listen to recommend do not do a biopsy, because the way you do the biopsy, what it does is rupture that tumor and cause it to multiply and spread all over your body, because your body is creating that tumor in order to contain it. So even his cancer diagnosis, just the diagnostic process itself could have multiplied his cancer, because they would have probably had to take a biopsy. You know, I don't know what the other methods that they use to determine cancer. Maybe they did an MRI, or maybe they did some kind of protein type of test, or since it's colon cancer, which is pretty common in men, they probably were easily able to identify it or see the inflammation and inflammatory, look for the inflammatory cells coming from that area. So anyhow, so he was sick from before. And what I'm trying to get to with this whole thing is that his hate, his violence, his aggression is linked back to the cancer, linked back to the bacteria, linked back to the evil spirits that were already consuming his body. Does not absolve him of what he did, just like it doesn't absolve Lindsey Casey or Lindsey whatever her name is. Right? Lindsey Casey or Lindsey whatever her name is. She was sleep deprived. She felt overwhelmed. She had rumination, bad ideas circling in her head, telling her that she should hurt somebody. Right? She possibly had lack of nutrition too. I don't know. I would think so. I think so. Her body was producing certain resources for her baby. I think one of the babies was only like 2 months old or something like that. So she was lactating in order, it also releasing different kind of hormones in order to heal her body from the whole delivery and absorb all of the parts that need to be absorbed for her body to shrink back down to its previous stage. Supposedly her husband was having an affair. Maybe she found out about that, and that was stressing her out too. Stress. I forgot about stress. But that's back to rumination again. She's there thinking all kind of things about how he's treating her and what she has and what she don't have and what the other woman is, all that, yada, yada. While she's still being sleep deprived because she got a 2-month-old she got to take care of, and then she got to get up in the morning and send the other 2 kids to school and whatever the case may be. At the same time, the medical industry puts her on a whole bunch of drugs, which these psychotropic drugs, can also trigger mental illness. Look, weed, marijuana, is linked to 10 to 15% increase of the chance of schizophrenia in young men. There's some young guys with ski masks on riding motorcycles just almost got hit by me and almost got hit by everybody because they're just cutting through the light. They're running through the light. And anyway, whatever, man. Listen, don't argue with people either. One before, I hope I can get back to what I want to say, but let's segue for a second. Don't argue with people out here. They're not eating the right foods. They're going through financial stress. They're listening to bad ideas. They're watching horrible shows like Dexter and criminal shows and horror shows and shows that say all kind of demonic things and have killings and murders in them, and they feel disempowered. They feel weak, and they feel like they need to commit violence to feel strong. They're listening to rap music. You know, they having spirits talking to them. They're eating spirits. Right? They're meaning bacteria and parasites. They're dealing with spirits that's already in them from their parents, genetically passing down bacteria and viruses into them. So you got to be careful. You got to be very careful. Hey, I'm sorry, I was interrupted. The guy was telling me, somebody walked up to me telling me something. So I'm at my destination now. I don't know if I brought it home, but what I'm trying to say is that the so-called spirits that are making people crazy, like when Jesus took the spirits out of the humans and threw them in the pigs. Like there was a guy acting crazy, and they called Jesus and said, "Oh, this guy is acting crazy." And he said, he asked the demons, what is your name? He says, "We are legion because we are many." I'm thinking I'm gonna stretch that to fit my narrative. When somebody's body is racked with parasites and bacteria, it's not just one bacteria, it's not just one parasite, it's a billion bacteria, it's a billion parasites. Our bodies, supposedly, like a significant part of our body weight is composed of bacteria, right? So anyhow, that crazy guy who Jesus cured, he took all those millions and billions of parasites out of his body and threw them into the pigs. And that's why pigs have that parasite that is no good for you. You know, people in the Jewish religion, people in the Muslim religion, they don't eat pork. People, some Hindu people, they don't eat beef. Cows have 80% human DNA. Pigs have 90% human DNA. I don't believe that you should eat either one of those things. And, you know, I think I spoke about mad cow disease, which is BSD, I believe. I spoke about ALD. And I spoke about chronic wasting disease, which chronic wasting disease, and scrapie. Scrapie is the same demyelinating condition that sheep have. BSD is the demyelinating condition that cows have. CWD is the demyelinating condition that deers have. ALD is a demyelinating condition that humans have. Also, multiple sclerosis is a demyelinating condition that humans have. If you watch the movie Lorenzo's Oil, which I bought on DVD, the little boy Lorenzo started getting real aggressive and real irritable as his ALD advanced, as his demyelinating condition advanced. And And so we can see that illness is linked to irritability. Illness can be linked to violent behavior. We know that alcohol definitely causes people to be depressed, and a lot of violent or criminal acts are linked to alcohol. You know, domestic violence calls are the number one killer of police officers, right? Or some of them call it partner violence. But domestic violence is a nice broad brush in the home condition. So, I just want to say, I want to take it home with myself by thinking positive, thinking the right thoughts, thinking good thoughts. Not only does that make you healthier, it manifests positivity in the world. Eat foods that are purifying, non-inflammatory, foods that kill the bacteria, foods that kill the parasites, the turmeric, the cayenne pepper, the garlic. Look at that, garlic, right? Garlic kills vampires, right? Come back to the spices again. A vampire is somebody that's even devoid of vitamin D. There is a vitamin D deficient person. Vitamin D deficiency can make you irritable also. It can cause you to have like not the right amount of sleep, not like a messed up sleep cycle, because your whole circadian rhythm is kind of affected if you're in the house locked up in the dark all the time. That's my opinion. I noticed it myself. I don't know. Someone was saying, and I agree, that and going back to the ghetto again, going back to the inner city again. Inner city is full of garbage. You go to Japan, no garbage. I hear there's no garbage cans. Everybody picks up their own garbage. Everybody takes their garbage home. People think it's funny, but I think it's admirable. While in the inner city, people throw garbage all over the place. People throw garbage in the catch basin that ends up in the ocean. People throw, urinate in the elevator. Whatever the case may be. Now, also, sometimes there's not facilities available everywhere. So, I'll give people some grace. We got to give each other some grace. I've publicly urinated. I've publicly defecated because it was an emergency. I'm sorry. I mean, it should be a shameful thing, but why am I hiding it from you? It's real life, So anyhow, the spirits, man. Shondra Massey, she had spirits on her because she was also mentally disturbed. And the guy, former officer Greyson, he had evil spirits in him too. First, they caused him to destroy his career. Then, they caused him to lose his life. At 32 years old. Very tragic. Anyhow, I'm at my destination. I gotta get to work. I don't know if I made any sense, but we know that diet and nutrition, sunlight, and sleep can really help you behaviorally, in addition to listening to the right music, avoiding the wrong music, avoiding the wrong ideas, of avoiding the wrong mantras. Music is like a chant. Music is a chant. Music is a chant. Chanting the wrong things is no good. Eating the wrong things is no good. But chanting the wrong things is the same thing as thinking the wrong things, you know, and having negative ideas like roll around in your head all the time. No good. So we got to find ways to cure that. And I think that will make some advancement towards world peace a little bit. You know what I mean? There's still also bad social constructs, you know, bad political social constructs, bad economic social constructs, so on and so forth. So we got a ways to go, but there is a way. There is a way. You know, I think there is a way. There's a way to achieve more peace. Maybe not total world peace. I mean, you know, maybe I should be a little more optimistic, but I think we can make more progress. We can gain more peace by treating our own individual bodies more like a temple. You know, in the Bible they say your body is the temple. I guess your body is the temple of the Lord or something like that. Your body is a temple. Your body is a temple. So if you want God to come into your body, you don't want to chant negative things. If you want God to come into your body, you don't want to have nasty bacteria. You want God to come into your body. You don't want negative parasites. You don't want to have a whole bunch of preservatives and stuff that mess with your brain. And you want to put good stuff inside of it. You want to put gold inside of it. You know what I mean? You want to put zinc, copper. You want to put B12 in it. You know what I'm saying? You want to put some vitamin D in it. Vitamin C. Get all your vitamins and eat real food and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You want to think good thoughts and get some good sunlight. You know, all of that. Like the plants love the sun, and we need it too. So anyhow, I've said that I was going to stop talking, but now I'm really going to stop talking because it's getting late. So thanks for listening. Bang.